Okay, we have not had a daily grade yet where your dimensions were binomials. So you got to be prepared for this. The FOIL method is involved in finding the areas here. Make some space. So if I want to find the area of a square when the side is a binomial, you really can't do that in your head. Oopsie. You're going to have to do 4x minus 2 times 4x minus 2. That's how you find area. And some kids just write it like this. Well, I do expect you to actually do the FOIL. I want to see the final product. What's 4x times 4x? 16x squared. And then you would get a negative 8x and another negative 8x, and then you'd get a plus 4 on the end. Final answer here, 16x squared minus 16x plus 4. That's the area of that square. So you've got to know how to do that. Perimeter isn't so bad for this one. You just take one side and multiply it by 4 because all 4 sides are the same. Perimeter would be 16x minus 8. Okay, so are you good with the square? Now, a triangle. The biggest problem I still see with triangles is kids are forgetting the divide by 2. It's base times height divided by 2. So which side do I not need for area? Yeah, I don't need that one. Good. I'm going to do 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 4 using FOIL, just like we did on number 1, base times height. I'm getting 4x squared plus 8x plus 4x plus 8. Well, that's 4x squared plus 12x plus 8. Now remember, that's just the base times height. I still have to divide everything by 2. When you divide by 2, all that's affected are the coefficients. It's like you're factoring a 2 out of the top. So what will the final answer be for area here? Very good. 2x squared plus 6x plus 4. That's the area. Okay, perimeter, we got to go back and use all 3 sides here. You just add up the sides, and if they're like terms, you put them together. So 3x plus 2x plus 2x, 7x. 6 plus 4 plus 2 is plus 12. So that's my area and perimeter for the triangle. Now, on number 3, I made you do a little bit of work. I asked you to find the area and perimeter of a rectangle with a length that is 4 feet longer than the width. So it's kind of like you needed a variable box here. The length is 4 longer than the width. So the width would be x, and the length would be what? X plus 4. Now, you don't really need FOIL for this area. It's just distributive property. So what's the area? Well, you got to do this times this. Length x squared plus 4x. You've got to do x times x plus 4. Length times width. That's how you get x squared plus 4x. That's the area of that guy. Perimeter. On perimeter, please don't forget to draw in or consider all 4 sides. So what's the perimeter? 4x plus 8. Okay, and the very last one, the circle. You got to be careful with the pi business on this circle here. This is taking forever. Okay, area of a circle is radius times radius, and then don't forget you also need a pi. And I didn't even tell you the radius. I told you the diameter. So if the diameter is 4x plus 2, what's the radius? 2x plus 1. So for area, you're going to have to do 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 1, and then don't forget there's also got to be a pi in there. Okay, so I'm getting 4x squared plus 2x plus another 2x plus 1, so that's 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. Now please be careful because some kids do this. They stick a pi on the end. What else do I need? Parentheses, because right now the only thing that's multiplying by pi is that 1 on the end, and the whole thing is supposed to multiply by pi. So that's an extra consideration on these problems. You got to have parentheses around it. to show pi is multiplying by that whole product of radius times radius. All right, circumference is not too bad. I told you the diameter, you just have to stick a pi on it. But again, what do I need? I've got to have parentheses. Otherwise, the pi is only going to multiply by what I stuck it next to, and it's supposed to multiply by the whole thing. So the circumference would be 4x plus 2 in parentheses, and then a pi. Okay, so that could be your next daily grade. I'm going to pause the recording while we grade homework. I know it's been a few days, but page 175 was due, like, I think Wednesday or Thursday. But we had so many crazy things going on. Let's quickly get this graded and then go over questions, because today we're doing more factoring. All right, there's 6 points each. Oh. Sorry. I thought you meant my recording was on freeze. It does not matter the order. No, but the signs in the term have to be correct. Like, for example, on number 10, you cannot have a minus 8 and a plus 3. That's what I'm... But the order of the term itself does not matter. Are you talking to yourself or me? Okay, are we ready to talk about these? Can I change screens? Everybody's done grading. There's 6 points apiece. Make sure your name, grade, and number are on your paper. Are we done grading? Because I'm about to change screens. Who said no? Still grading? Okay, let's talk about questions on 175 real quick. Anybody have questions from that assignment that we just graded? Bless you. Everybody got 100 on 175? Nobody has questions. Number 4. All right, what we have been factoring so far look like this. The nice thing about the ones you did on page 175 was the number in front of your x squared or your m squared term was always a 1 on this whole page. There was just an invisible 1. That makes your life easier, because the only possibility to get m squared has to be just 1m times 1m. 20, however, could be 1 in 20, 2 in 10, or 4 in 5. Now remember, you're trying to get a 9 in the middle. So which factor pair here could add up to a 9 in the middle? Has to be 4 and 5. And really not a 9. I meant to say a negative 9 in the middle. So what does that tell me about my signs? Not one of them. Both of them. That's the only way to get a positive number back here and a negative number in the middle. I knew my signs had to be negative before I even start guessing and checking. That's the only possibility here. And sure enough, it has to be negative 4 and negative 5. Now make sure everything works. M times m is m squared. Negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. And my inside total is negative 4m. My outside total is negative 5m. Sure enough, it gives me what I needed in the middle. And that means I know I'm right. That definitely works. What else? Anything else? Okay, now, today, get out your notes. We're doing more factoring today, and it's going to get a little bit more complicated. That's the title. Factoring ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, you need to get used to seeing parabolas discussed like this, because the values of a, b, and c are important for finding all kinds of things about a quadratic function. A is always the term in front of the x squared. B is always in front of x, and c is always the constant on the end. And all of the ones we did so far, A was a nice invisible 1, which made our lives much easier. Today our lives are going to get a little bit more difficult. Or let's not say that. It's going to get more fun. It's going to get more challenging to factor today. The pieces of the puzzle all have to fit together. So our job here is to factor into two binomials, just like normal. I'm going to start with the product. The first one is 2x squared plus 7x plus 6, and our job is to figure out what two binomials got multiplied together to give that lovely quadratic expression there, 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. Factoring. This is the title. What's the value of A in this problem? A 2. What's the value of B? A 7. And what's the value of C? 6. Well, let's talk about the sign combinations. What do I know my signs are going to have to be on this problem? It has to be a plus plus. That's the only way to get a positive product on the end and also a positive sum of products in the middle. So I know my signs are going to be plus plus no matter what. Here is what makes this so much more complicated, is the fact that A, the number in front of x squared, is not a 1 anymore. Remember what we did in the past is you just looked at the end and you tried to write down all the factor pairs you could think of for 6. There's not that many. 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. And then we looked for the pair that made what we needed in the middle, which is a 7. Well, do either of those pairs make a 7? No, they don't. Oh, well, I guess a 1 and a 6 could, couldn't it? Oh, this was a bad example to start with. The 1 and 6 will not work here, and that's because the 2 here is going to double one of your factors. Because think about it. Your first two positions here have to give you back 2x squared. Well, that's just not x times x anymore. It's going to be 2x times x. Yeah, these are my pairs that I'm going to start guessing with. And the thing that makes this more complicated is this 2 here. Remember, our inside product, our middle term comes from your inside product and your outside product getting added up. Well, whatever goes in this position, what's going to happen to it? It's going to get doubled. One of your factors is going to get doubled. I didn't mean to start with one where 1 and 6 could make a 7, but I'm going to show you why 1 and 6 wouldn't work. This is called the guess and check method, so I would just pick a pair of factors and start guessing and checking. If I put a 1 here and a 6 here, look what my inside product is. 1x. What's my outside product? 12x. And we already talked about the fact it has to be plus plus. Does that add up to 7? No. Okay, now, guessing and checking also on these problems, not only do you have to find the right pair, but you have to put them in the right position. I put the 1 here and the 6 here. It didn't work. Doesn't mean 1 and 6 necessarily isn't the winner. You always want to change the position as well and see if that could work. Now, the 6 isn't getting doubled. The 1 is. So what would I get on the inside? 6x, and on the outside, 2x. That's close, but does that give me the 7? So guess what that means? 1 and 6 is not the right pair. Now I've got to try 2 and 3, and I have to put them in the right position. Now sometimes you can kind of be thinking ahead. I know because of this 2 right here that one of my factors will be doubled. Okay, so do I want to double the 3? No, because that would give me a 2 and a 6. What if I doubled the 2? That would give me a 4 and a 3, which does add up to 7. So sometimes you can kind of be thinking in your head as you're doing the guessing and checking. It is going to be 2 and 3, and the 2 has to go here, the 3 has to go here. And this is why. My insides would now be 3x, my outsides would now be 4x, and that adds up to the 7x that we needed in the middle. So this process is just called guessing and checking, and you just got to dive in and start guessing and checking. And if it doesn't work, change positions. And if that doesn't work, move on to a different pair of factors. All right, let's try another one, number 2. 2x squared minus 10x plus 12. If you want to pick up the homework for me so it'll get off your desk, you can. Anybody want to pick up the homework? All right, somebody. First, start with that row over there and put it on my desk. You don't start with the middle number. This is what I would do. First of all, I would think about my signs. Okay, what do I know about my signs on this problem? They're not negative positive. How do I know they're not negative positive? Yeah, if the last one's positive, then your only choices are minus minus or plus plus. Oh, no. What are my factor signs going to have to be? They have to be minus minus. That is non-negotiable on this problem. That is the only way it will work to give you a positive product but yet something negative in the middle. Okay, so at least that part is set. The hardest ones are when the signs are different because the sign has to be correct as well. The other thing that's not too bad about this is at least, even though a is not a 1, it's only a 2, and there's only one way to get a product of 2x squared. 2x and 1x. So I know it's negative negative, and I know 2x and x have to be my leading terms. But 12 could be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. And the position that I put them in matters. Like I could put a 1 here and a 12 here, or a 12 here and a 1 here. If it's 2 and 6, the 2 could go here and the 6 here, or the 6 here and the 2 here. 3 and 4 could be 3 here, 4 here, or vice versa. So look at all those possible combinations I'd have to guess and check till I find the winning one. Now this is where you want to kind of think ahead. One of your factors will get doubled. So kind of look at your pairs. Think about doubling something and then see if you could get a 10 if one of those factors was doubled. You think 2 and 6. All right, let's try 2 and 6. Usually, when I'm doing these, I usually don't start with the 1 and 12 guess. I usually pick the ones where the numbers are closer together, like 3, 4, 2, 6. I would start with those. Let's try 2 and 6. I'm going to try a 2 here and a 6 here. Remember, I'm trying to get the 10 in the middle. That would give me a negative 2x and a negative 12x. Now, if the signs were different, that could give me a 10. Absolutely. But the signs in this one have to be the same.
I thought you double the 2 and then you add the 6.
Okay, let's double the 2. Let me change positions. Let me double the 2 and put the 6 here. That would give me a negative 6 and a negative 4x. That looks like the winner.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what the heck? I did get it right, but I just needed.
Yeah, so you have to have the numbers in the right position. 2 and 6 would work here. Now, 3 and 4, somebody said 3 and 4 would also work. Let's see. 4 here and a 3 here would give you a negative 4x and a negative 6x. That would also work on this one.
But wait, they wouldn't give you 2 right answers.
Yes, normally, again, I made this one up. I should just stick to the ones in the book. Normally, there's only one way to factor it. This one happened to have 2 possibilities, and I would accept either one in that case. So in this case, both of those worked. So whichever pair you put would have been correct. All right, now I'm going to stick to the book so I don't get weird answers here. Number 3. Try this one. The ones where the signs are different tend to be the trickiest ones. 3x squared minus 13x minus 30. Okay, a couple of things that are non-negotiable here. The one nice thing is 3x squared. There's only one way to get that product. What is it? 3x and x. Now, the tricky part about this, look at my last term. It's a negative. What does that mean? It means my signs are different, but I cannot go ahead and write down the positive negative because I don't know where the positive and negative will go yet. So that's a tricky thing about the signs being different. And again, it's tricky because of the positioning. One of them is going to get tripled. All right, 30 could be 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, or 5 and 6. So we've got 4 possible guesses and 2 positions apiece. That's 8 possible guesses before we find the right one. Sometimes you get lucky and guess right on the first try. I would usually start with the 5 and the 6 and or the 3 and the 10. I usually don't start with the ones that are really far apart. Doesn't mean that couldn't possibly be the right combo, but in general, I start with the ones. I would probably start with 5 and 6. Okay, so let's just jump in and start guessing. Again, imagine one of them getting tripled and see if it would work. If I put the 5 here, oh wait, I want to guess wrong. Let me put the 6 here and the 5 here. That would give me a 6x and a 15x. And again, I know the signs are going to have to be different, which means they're going to have to subtract to give 13. So would a 15 and a 6 subtract to a 13? No. That doesn't mean I should give up on the 6 and the 5 yet. Let me change the position. Let me put the 5 here and the 6 here. That would give me a 5x and 18x. Now, could that make a negative 13? Yes. How? The 18 has to be the negative one. So where does my minus sign have to go? On the 6. And the 5 has to be the positive one. So my positive has to go right here with the 5. And then just double check that everything worked. 3x times x is 3x squared. Positive 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Always check that middle term, which we already did really. Positive 5x, negative 18x is negative 13x in the middle. Everything works. The only thing the negative on the back tells you is your signs are different. And when your signs are different, you really can't put the signs down until you know what combination is going to work and which one needs to be negative and which one needs to be positive. All right, let's try another one like that. Number 4. (2x squared minus 5x minus 12). And the more you do these, the better you get at the guessing. And again, so far we've only used 2's or 3's at the beginning, which the nice thing about that is 2x squared has to be 2x and x. What do I know about my signs here? They have to be different, but please, please, please do not put a plus and a minus down because you don't know where the signs go when the signs are different until you find the right combination. 12 could be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. Pick a pair and start guessing. And I usually start with the factors that are kind of close to each other. Like I would probably start with 3 and 4, and if that doesn't work on, I'd move to I would move on to 2 and 6. And if that doesn't work, I'd move on to 1 and 12. But I have done a lot of factoring, and most of the time they kind of are the ones that are close together. Most of the time, but not always. And keep in mind, my signs are different, so that means that the two numbers have to subtract to give the negative 5. They're not going to add up to the negative 5, they got to subtract to the negative 5. Did y'all find the combination that worked? What is it? I think it is going to be 3 and 4. Imagine one of them getting doubled, like if the 4 were doubled, it would become an 8. So I'm going to put the 3 here and the 4 on the end. That would give me 3x and 8x. And yes, that can subtract to make a negative 5. Now I need a negative 5. So which one of these has to be negative? The 8, which came from 2x times 4. So that means the 4 is the negative and the 3 has the plus.
Oh, that's you subtracting it out at the beginning.
Yeah, do not write down the signs when it's a plus and a minus, because you just don't know. It matters on the position as well. All right, let's try another one, number 5. 2x squared minus 11x plus 15. Okay, but remember the middle comes from adding stuff together, not from multiplying. You're looking for factors of 15, which could be... No, we always did it on the end, but they add up to the middle. So 2x squared, again, the nice thing here is at least the beginning is easy. Has to be 2x and x. What do I know about the signs? They both have to be negative. That's a nice thing about this kind of problem. If the back is positive, that's either a plus plus or a minus minus. So at least the signs are non-negotiable. It has to be minus minus. Now, 15 could be 1 and 15, or 3 and 5. And don't forget, whichever one goes here in this position is going to get doubled. And if I were going to start guessing on this one, I probably would not start with the 1 and 15. I'd probably start with the 3 and the 5. So, and again, you just got to jump in and start trying something. I put the 3 in the middle and the 5 on the end. That's going to give me a negative 3x and a negative 10x. Does that work? No, that doesn't mean give up on the 3 and the 5 yet. Switch the positions and see if that works. Put the 5 here and the 3 here. Negative 5x, negative 6x. Does that work? Yeah, that's the winning pair. I just had to put them in the right position. Yes. The one that goes here is the one that's going to get doubled because it's across from the 2x. All right, now look at this one. Number 6. 6x squared plus 7x minus 5. Why is this one even trickier? Because the beginning is a 6. 6 could be more than one possibility. It could be 6x and 1x, or it could be 2x and 3x. Now, here's the nice thing though. If they're mean to you on the front, they're usually kind of easy to you on the back. Like the 6 could be more than one possibility, but look at the back. The back is 5. What's the only possibility for 5? 1 and 5. So at least there's not that much guessing for this one. But it's kind of like the front end is the hard end now. Now we can either start with 6x and 1x or 3x and 2x. Make a choice and just start guessing. 3x and 2x. Okay? That may not be the winner. If it's not, then you got to move on to the 6x and 1x guess. Now the nice thing, we started with 3 and 2. 5 has to be 5 and 1. But the 5 could go here and the 1 here, or the 1 could go here and the 5 here. So you got to check the 1 and 5 in both positions. Yeah, but the front I would leave the same and just work on the back. Let's see if this works. Oh, what's my sign combination also? Different signs. And I'm not going to put down a plus and a minus yet because the minus might need to be in this position. So all I know is the signs are different. When the signs are different, you don't assign the signs until the last step. Let's see. This would give me a 10x and a... Ooh, look, I got lucky on the first one. Could a 10x and a 3x make a 7x? Yes, they could. One of them has to be negative. Which one? The 3 has to be negative. And the 10 has to be positive because that's what adds up to positive 7x in the middle. So how do I make the 10x positive? Put a plus 5. And how do I make the 3x negative? Minus 1. And again, I had different signs, which gives me a negative number on the end. So I didn't have to move on to the 6 and 1. The winning combo was 3 and 2. All right, try this one. 14x squared minus 15x minus 9. You can do it. Now, 14x squared could either be 14x and 1x or 2x and 7x. You have to make a choice, commit to a guess, and check it. And if it doesn't work, switch the positions. And if it doesn't work, move on. I would probably start with 7 and 2. I don't know if that's right, but that's usually where I start. What do we know about the signs? Different signs, which does make it trickier. Different signs means that you really have to subtract your factors, and you have to make sure that the signs go in the right position as well. Make a choice. Commit to something. I see some kids just staring. I'll make a choice for you. Start with 7x and 2x. 9 could be 9 and 1 or 3 and 3. I would start with 3 and 3. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it might not be. I don't know. I'm guessing and checking. Yeah, you could do that. Some kids might want to put it here like this. That's fine too. But one of them's going to get doubled and one of them's going to get multiplied by 7, just depending on your positioning. Was 7 and 2 the winner? What about for 9? Is it 9 and 1 or 3 and 3? It's 3 and 3 because look what I get there. But again, I'm going to hold off on my signs. I would get 6x and 21x, which can make a negative 15. Which one would have to be negative? The 21, which came from the 7 and the 3. The 6 would have to be positive, which came from my inside products. And that does add up to negative 15x in the middle. Okay, if you did it the other way, then you would have had 2x minus 3 and then 7... Wait, what did I write? Oh, it is 3. Okay, 7. I'm sorry. You can have 2x minus 3 first and then 7x plus 3. That's correct. Now, what you cannot have, though, is 2x plus 3 and 7x minus 3. That won't work. Why will this not work? It would give me a positive 15 in the middle. So the order of your terms doesn't matter, like as long as you have the correct terms. It could be first or second. Okay, and then one other kind that you were going to see is a backwards one. Or if you were to see a backwards one, I'm not sure if there's one on the homework that's backwards, but just in case. It's no big deal, folks. No, don't just change it around, because if you change it around, your first term will now be negative. It's okay. It's not that bad. These have to be different signs. How do I know they're different signs? Because the last term is negative. Yes, the signs are based on the last term basically. And on the back end I've got M and M. You can't write them in the front because one of them has to be a plus and one of them has to be a minus. Now this one is nice, but it's back to where the value of well, at least you've only got one possibility on the end. 1 M times 1 M. So think of the factors of 18 that could make a 7. 9 and 2. Now what about the signs though? 9 has to be negative, so how is the 9 going to make a negative on this one? Yes, because that would give you negative 9M, and the positive one had to go here. That would give you positive 2M, negative 9M, and that's how you get the negative 7M in the middle. So it's not that big of a deal if it's backwards. But I really don't want to switch them around because it's hard, it's trickier to factor when your lead term is negative. So if it's backwards, just leave it backwards. All right, your homework is page 178, 1 to 49, but just in the first column. It's not that many problems. It's 17 problems. But I'm also giving you time in class, so get started. 178, 1 to 49, first column.